I think that Tashlich is really like kind of ancient Jewish medicine in a way. Like all of the high holy days are about this idea of like getting the albatross of guilt off of our shoulders and sort of getting it out. And so Tashlich itself is called, like, the word itself means to get out and to send out. And I think that that's so much of what the high holy days are in general, is like getting out this intense emotion of shame and regret and guilt and getting it out of our system. Because you can't be healthy when you're walking around with, mounds of accumulated guilt.
One thing that I've been really thinking a lot about for this Tashlich is the possibility of externalizing our sins, our averas, and saying, I'm actually going to look at this piece of bread as my anger, and that time that I, abused my relationship, and I'm going to let it go.
For the young Jewish couple, Chaya and Hillel Lester, Tashlich is more than just the Jewish practice of throwing bread into a stream following the Rosh Hashanah holiday. It's a psychological cleansing of the mind. Hillel Lester is a rabbi and counselor, and his wife Chaya is a psychologist who also works in Jewish teaching. Together, they recently started the Shalev Center to promote personal growth and spiritual development.
My experience is that a lot of people today are uncomfortable with the idea of sin. And I think that that's primarily because people believe that if they acknowledge what they've done wrong and they acknowledge a sin, that makes them a sinner, that makes their identity equal to a sinner. And so the idea of externalization is that if I take it and I actually put it onto this, then I say, I am I, and my sin is my sin, and now I've got the power and the ability to distinguish myself from that act and have the ability to clearly look at it with courage and say, now I can decide what I want to do with it. And I want to cast it off.
There's a wonderful parallel actually with cathartic therapy, which is something that Freud started in the 1890s. And cathartic therapy is really that simple idea of health comes when we take all the sort of layers of accumulated trauma and emotion and express it and get it out. And when we're able to do that, then we make space. When we're able to send it out, then we make an opening and a space for new discoveries and greater health. So there's an emotional part, which is getting the emotion out. And then there's the cognitive part of what fills the space once I get that junk out of me.
The couple brought their kids to the stream at the Wall-Rose Park in Jerusalem to take part in the Tashlich ceremony.
I think that coming into contact with nature is in and of itself healing and enlivening. And then being able to involve my children in such a powerful way where they are like, oh, I'm throwing out my hitting that I did this year, and that my 4-year-olds can do this is just wonderful. It's a whole other type of play. It becomes a type of play, and which is what ritual is anyway, at its best, when it engages that part of us that just wants to live and play and express. So I wish I maybe had some time to do it by myself without my kids' kind of involvement. But I also love being able to share a ritual with my children and share a spiritual experience with my 4-year-old, my 2-year-old. So that's become the new sort of Tashlich experience for me, as opposed to earlier when I was able to spend an hour going into myself in a deeper way. And yet I trust that even though I don't have that hour to spend on myself, that the job is getting done.